He stood there saying a prayer. He said, "Manto, I hope I'm doing right."
What kind of questions do you have about how our government works?
Well, it's kind of a confusing, like that there's Cross Lake Band and PCN.
First, the Cree Nation of Pimicikamak, and then there's that Cross Lake Band of Indians, eh? Yeah. So I don't know, I'm mixed up anyway.
Exactly. You know what? I'm confused too.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to get.
Yeah.
So it's really confusing.
Yes.
So we have two governments here, so I don't know where I stand now.
I don't even know which band I belong to, Pimicikamak or Cree Nation, eh?
Yeah. Cree
Nation. Cree Nation.
Yeah, that's where we're
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right.
Many people today get confused or sometimes think Pimicikamak and the Cross Lake Band are the same.
Well, a lot of people have asked me, what am I? Pimicikamak or Cross Lake Band?
It's important that we take a step backwards in terms of history of Pimicikamak and in terms of the treaty signing in 1875, where Pimicikamak, where our people, our ancestors lived off the land and they were able to roam within our territory.
Pimicikamak is where my ancestors have inhabited for thousands of years, way before contact. Pimicikamak is the name of our land and the name of our tribe, and it's also the name of our language.
Pimicikamak is where our people used to thrive from. Their economy was out there, out in the land. They had no boundaries. They had nothing to stop them from making a living for their family, where they were very well off.
When the foreigners came to this land, we were so abundant at that time. The life was so abundant, eh? We didn't have nothing to worry about. We had our own ways, we had our own ways, we had our own laws.
We have been a self-sustaining and self-sufficient people before contact. We have lived off our land and off our waterways. We had a deep spiritual relationship with the land and all the beings in it. All our animals, our fish, our medicines. It was our way of life. That's the culture that the Creator has given our people.
Pimicikamak was a territory. It was our land, our freedom.
But then again, there's the other side, and that's the band. And a lot of people know nothing else because the band's been around since 1876. It was derived from the Indian Act, and it was a law that was made by man.
Pimicikamak owes its existence to the Creator. The band owes its existence to the Parliament of Canada, and the Parliament of Canada can terminate at any time.
The Indian Act that was enacted in the Parliament made an attempt to keep our people in a box while they took the land and natural resources away from us for their wealth.
Pimicikamak was not tied up with the Indian Act and all that stuff, eh? We were free.
And now the government had put us in this fence, this box, where the chief and council of the band have to administer the poverty of our people.
The band system is not working. Our new government system here, the Pimicikamak Okinawan, we're not crammed in a box where it's there to fail. This new government is for us to succeed in life, go back to the land, to care for ourselves, not to be so dependent on government.
The band has very, very limited powers to deal with a huge range of problems with completely inadequate resources to accomplish that.
My people were never meant to be poor.
In terms of funding for the Cross Lake Band of Indians, we are grossly underfunded.
We administer the poverty of my people with what the federal government allocates to the Cross Lake Band of Indians.
There's never enough money to deliver all the programs adequately and appropriately to all band members.
And whatever is given to us by the federal government is not enough. It'll never be enough. It'll never be enough to accommodate our people.
Good example is housing, where many people lose out.
I go back to the Northern Flood Agreement. It was a document. It was our elders that pursued and ensured that this document was to be kept in our nation, and that our people would benefit from the Northern Flood Agreement. 40 years later, my people are still as poor, and it should not be, because there are very important words in the Northern Flood Agreement, and one of them I always keep in my heart, and this is something that keeps me going, is to eradicate mass poverty in Cross Lake, and it hasn't happened. And hopefully that with this leadership and with future leaderships that we be able to get somewhere in terms of that.
We only get a limited amount of funds, say for example, to build 10, 15 units a year, whereas our housing applications, our list is over 600, and many people have not applied. So housing is a good example of underfunding, where many people lose out, and we can't do enough for them to meet their needs and their health.
Pimicikamak's territory encompasses the entire watershed of the upper Nelson River, just about all the way north to the Burntwood River, west on the Grass River watershed, south to the shores of Lake Winnipeg, and somewhat east as well. By contrast, the band doesn't really have any territory. The band has a right to occupy reserve lands that are set aside by the Government of Canada for that purpose. And the extent of those lands is a very, very small fraction of the total territory of the Pimicikamak people.
When the treaty was signed in 1875, it was never intended for our people to live in one area. That was the only way that the government would accommodate our people, if they lived in one area.
The purpose of the band is not the same as the purpose of Pimicikamak. Pimicikamak's purpose is to ensure the survival of the Pimicikamak people and to arrange for people to have a good life. You don't like the commentary?
I think it's awesome.
I told you the goose is on the loose. Well, the goose honking in the background there reminds us of Darwin's story about how Pimicikamak is like a goose.
The difference between Pimicikamak and Cross Lake Band is very simple to understand. The analogy that I use is you have geese flying around. They fly south, they migrate north. They're alive. That's sort of like what Pimicikamak is. It's alive. And the band is a goose decoy. It's made to look like a goose, but it floats, but that's about it. It doesn't fly south, it doesn't fly north. And that's the difference between the two.
And we all know what decoys are meant to do. The band's purpose is actually to extinguish Pimicikamak. The band government was invented by the Government of Canada in order to get rid of these inconvenient Indigenous peoples and governments who obstructed access to the lands and resources of Canada. So the The purpose of Pimicikamak is completely the opposite of the purpose of the band.
Pimicikamak has a constitution that we follow, and it's derived from our relationship with the Creator, God. So that's what makes it alive. That's where it comes from.
Pimicikamak has Aboriginal and treaty rights. The band has no treaty rights, no Aboriginal rights. Bands don't have rights.
So man made these laws, how people can behave and how they can live in the reserve. And that's the difference. Man controls the people. In the other world, Pimicikamak controls themselves based on God-given rights.
We no longer listen to the decisions of the government what made for us in the Gross Lake Band of Indians. We don't do that anymore.
That's the beauty of this. Band we don't have control over. Under Pimicikamak we have a lot of control. We have a lot of things to look at. We have a lot of things to plan out. We have a lot of things to do in terms of lawmaking process. So instead of just consuming goods and services, we're able to create and develop our own goods and services for our people.
It's a very unique governance, and there's only a few tribes in Canada that actually do have the system in place.
People who believe that Pimicikamak was God-given, that their land was God-given, their identity and language was God-given, their culture was God-given, their traditions were God-given, their way of life was God-given. Those are the people that are committed to ensure that Pimicikamak sustains their survival.
We can't do the same thing over and over and again and expect the same results, a different result, right? So with this leadership, we took a different approach, and we've seen different results. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it was the elder that said that we do not give up anything that pertains to the Northern Flood Agreement. And I can honestly say, as the leader of the nation, that we have not done that, but that we pursued things differently in a different manner, and hopefully it'll work out for our people.
We are Pimicikamak people. There's no sense of changing that now. We are the Pimicikamak people. And what we can become one person. Everybody has to come forward and participate and listen on what we have to do. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
He stood there